A very good afternoon. You're watching Newsx and I'm Shivani Singh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Israel has received extensive and prominent coverage across major Israeli media outlets, which have described the trip as historic and strategically significant. Now, the Times of Israel has in fact carried live updates and detailed reports highlighting Modi's firm support for Israel, his Knesset address and expanding cooperation in defense, technology, cyber and innovation. The Jerusalem Post welcomed the Indian Prime Minister with bold headlines reading "Welcome Modi," even printing Namaste in Hindi alongside images of cheering crowds. Haaretz, while often critical of Netanyahu, has focused on the scale of the defense engagement, reporting on multi-billion-dollar arms deals, particularly in air defense systems against missiles and drones. Even in its analysis, the visit was acknowledged as high stakes and geopolitically consequential. Across outlets, Modi was portrayed as a reliable and consistent partner who has significantly strengthened India-Israel ties since 2014, specifically in counter-terrorism, technology collaboration and economic growth. With that, let's take a look at how the Israeli media have covered the Prime Minister's visit to Israel, because this is something that we have been talking about. Let's look at how the country is in fact reacting to Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting Israel. So let's look at the Times of Israel, where they've stated that India's Modi visits Yad Vashem, then meets Horgoz. So this is today's article that we are getting for you. This happened in the morning today, where both the Prime Ministers visited that Holocaust museum in Jerusalem together, and they in fact they were also present at the Hall of Remembrance, and then he drove to the president's residence over there to meet him and the First Lady. So this is what the Times of Israel is talking about today about his visit. Obviously, they have also spoken about his Knesset address earlier. Let's look at the Jerusalem Post, which has stated that there is no wavering. Modi's speech firmly aligns himself and India with Israel. So this is their focus, that India will stand with Israel no matter what. And this is an analysis that the Jerusalem Post has in fact put out. And here's also, they have written that Indian Prime Minister in fact ended his speech with the words "Am Yisrael Chai," which might have sounded unspectacular, but this is something that has to be highlighted. Let's look at Haaretz, which has stated that the multi-billion-dollar arms deals are driving Modi's visit to Israel. So they are focusing on that defense cooperation that India and Israel seem to be looking at. Let's look at Ynet Global, which has stated that Modi at Yad Vashem reminds us of the devastating price of hatred and the duty to preserve humanity. Obviously, that was a very solemn affair that has taken place today morning, and this is how this particular media organization has also reported on this. So this is something how Israeli, in fact, media outlets are talking about this visit. Let me introduce our guest for this broadcast, Mr. Peter Baum, who is an international affairs editor, Weekly Biz, who's live from London, UK. We have Ariella Rosenthal, who's the director of Ashdod International Relations Department in Routine and Emergency, who's live from Israel. We have Ambassador Manju Seth, former diplomat, Major General Dr. J.K. Bansal, who's a senior defense expert, Shekhar Vijayan, who is a political commentator. I welcome all of you to the broadcast. Thank you for speaking to Newsx and taking out your time, and a very good afternoon from India to all my guests. Let me in fact start off with Mr. Peter. When we are looking at this historic and significant visit, what are your first biggest takeaways? Because we are looking at a lot of, we were just looking at the Israeli media, how they are portraying this visit. We earlier saw how global media outlets are reporting on this. But as per your understanding, what's the biggest takeaway from this historic, significant visit, sir?
Yes, good afternoon to you. This was a very significant diplomatic win for Netanyahu. Israel, as you know, have been pretty friendless in the global media since the October the 7th atrocities. However, with India's commitment, an unambiguous waving, a zero tolerance level to terrorism, India knows more than any other country in the world, apart from Israel probably, how both countries have been subjected to terrorism. What was interesting about this trip and the obvious benefits that are going to be derived from it, economically, technically, tourism, rubber stamping the commitment of Israel to India and vice versa. But what has been most intriguing, looking upon it from the diaspora point of view, from both the Indian and Jewish communities, is how well the two men, Netanyahu and Modi, get on with each other. There's definitely a personal connection there, something that I haven't seen. And if you're as old as me, you would remember the connection that our own Margaret Thatcher had with President Ronald Reagan. There was a chemistry between them that it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu has with Modi. Now that obviously bodes well. And from all the information that I've been getting from the Indian community, certainly in the UK, but other parts of Europe, they are delighted at the rubber stamping of the connection politically, but hopefully it will go on towards more mutually economic benefits, which I'm sure it will do. But really, it's quite remarkable how well the two got on. We've seen other European leaders meet with Chinese counterparts and American leaders meet with European counterparts. And although there's a shaking of hand and a smiling for the cameras, we know underneath it all that there's no warmth, no connection between the two people meeting. But with Modi and Netanyahu, from the feedback that I've gathered and from all the politics of it and the characters involved, there is a definite personal connection which has cemented the relationship between the two countries. So by all accounts, a very pleasing meeting from Israel's point of view and hopefully from India's point of view as well.
Absolutely. In fact, let me rope in Ambassador Manju Seth on this. Ma'am, sir has just pointed out a very interesting fact that everyone is in fact talking about, this personal chemistry that is between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And I think more of this personal chemistry has led to better ties. It has in fact watered the ties and nurtured into such a big deal, the India and Israel relations.
Yes, I think it is one factor which helps to strengthen the relationship, but I would like to point out it's not the only factor. Unless there is mutual, sort of interest and mutual benefit, only personal chemistry doesn't go a very long way. But I think, yes, we could see that, the special warm chemistry that was there between both the leaders when they met at the airport and later subsequently as well. We saw all the visuals. It was a very positive connection, and I think it will definitely further cement an already very strong relationship, strong partnership, and will pave the way for all the MOUs and all that are expected to be signed in emerging technologies, quantum computing and energy and innovation, and also in agriculture already the ongoing and relationship and partnership and further augmenting of that. Along with, I believe that the defense ties were already quite strong. They will be further, cemented and will grow, from strength to strength, because given the current geopolitical turmoil, churn, uncertainty, instability, everything put together, I think it calls for India, or it is incumbent for India to get the best deal for itself, the best equipment, because within India we have some strengths, but I think the strengths and the kind of innovation that has taken place in Israel will certainly help to cement and to grow India's defense capabilities and defense industry as well, because there is talk of joint production, joint and manufacturing in India and innovating together. And of course, innovating for mutual benefit and also innovating and manufacturing for other countries, for the other countries of the world. So I believe that this relationship and this particular visit is indicative of the existing, good ties between the two countries and a pointer to where they are headed. We have to see that the Middle East and the sort of West Asia, all that is important for India. It's important for Israel, of course, to ensure that it, as we're all aware, there's literally an existential threat to Israel from the other countries, many of the other countries in the Middle East, and I think they would want to safeguard their interests. And India's interests are also very varied and diversified, including energy, including trading, etc., and a huge diaspora that we have. So I think there are multiple factors that contribute to this, to the importance of this relationship, and I believe that this visit will help to cement and further strengthen the partnership that we already enjoy.
Absolutely. In fact, let me also rope in Ariella Rosenthal into this discussion. Ma'am, we were just at the start of this broadcast, we were talking about how Israeli media networks are covering this entire visit. How are the people of Israel, in fact, looking at this historic, significant visit? Because we saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi's, address at the Knesset yesterday, and he spoke about standing by Israel, no matter what. And he also spoke about both the leaders' vision of looking at a terror-free world, looking at condemning terror in all forms.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me today. This visit is a very unique visit because it's not only the strategic bridge linking two dynamic regions, but this visit conveys the pragmatic interest base and resilience of both great leaders who see the future for both the countries in defense, in technology, in water. And I think we must look in a broader context, as also the people here in the city of Ashdod and in Israel understand that the visit, of course, must be analyzed in a more political context, where you, on the one hand, you understand that India increases its view and its willingness to have influence in the Middle East, and that way extends the Indo-Pacific strategy of and the India-Middle East-Europe corridor, and become an architect in such a complex global situation. The fact that the biggest democracy in the world has stood, very openly and along Israel since the 7th of October against zero tolerance for terrorism. It was one of the only countries that stood firmly with the state of Israel. So if I look at the people of Israel, and me personally, and people in the Indian community here in Ashdod, we have great appreciation and gratitude to Modi on how he stands firmly with the state of Israel. This friendship is not only a friendship between both leaders, but also a true friendship with the people of India and the people of Israel. Usually until now, we have lots of people diplomacy, people that have lots of delegations that come to Ashdod. We have very good ties with the embassy, and we have lots of festivals that we do together. But this visit is more than people to people. This has a broader context in defense, and I think India has proven once again that even now, in such tensional times where we're looking and hopefully the head of the snake of Tehran will be eliminated in the near future, this is not conventional, and we have great thank you and gratitude